Why do we look back at the ruins of great civilizations, the broken columns of Rome, the silent stones of Maya cities, the sandy remains of Egyptian temples? These are more than tourist attractions. They are classrooms teaching us that even the greatest societies are not permanent. Powerful civilizations can rise, prosper, and fall. Understanding why they fall is not just for historians, it's a lesson for all of us today. The same problems that destroyed past societies can exist in our world, hidden in plain sight. The collapse of a civilization is a warning. Success today does not guarantee success tomorrow. The Romans at their height believed their world would last forever, yet it vanished. By studying their mistakes, we see patterns, slow poisons like climate change, bad leadership, and social division. These are not sudden disasters, but slow-moving threats we also face in the 21st century. Studying history is like reading a map of dangers others have already encountered. The fall of Rome is one of the most detailed maps we have, showing the risks of growing too big, too fast, and ignoring the health of our land and people. Trust in leaders and each other is the glue that holds society together. When it dissolves, collapse can come quickly. As we explore the reasons for collapse, we're not just talking about the past, we're talking about our present and future. The questions we ask about Rome are the same we must ask about ourselves. Will we learn from history, or become another lesson for future generations? The Roman Empire began as a small city in Italy and grew into a vast power, controlling lands from Britain to Egypt. Romans built roads, aqueducts, and laws that still influence us today. For centuries, Rome symbolized strength and order. It seemed invincible. But empires are like living things. They are born, grow, and eventually die. Rome's fall was not a single event, but a slow process over centuries. Historians often mark 476 AD as the end, but the problems began much earlier. The empire became too large to manage, its enemies grew stronger, and its foundations cracked under pressure. Rome's decline was complex, a chain reaction of many problems, not just one. Environmental stress, government corruption, economic failure, and changing values all played a part. Each problem made the others worse, slowly pulling the empire apart. We study Rome's fall because it's a clear example of how a complex society can unravel. Military power and grand buildings aren't enough to keep a civilization alive. The health of a society depends on many things working together in balance. When that balance is lost, even the mightiest empire becomes fragile. Rome's story reminds us to pay attention to slow, quiet problems. They're often the most dangerous. One of Rome's earliest problems was environmental stress. A civilization needs healthy land, clean water, and resources to survive. As Rome grew, its demands on the land became unsustainable. Massive deforestation for ships and cities led to soil erosion. Fertile land turned barren. With less food and a growing population, famine became common. The empire had to import grain from faraway places, which was costly and risky. Climate change made things worse. Europe's climate became colder and less predictable, leading to crop failures. These changes weren't sudden, but year after year, life grew harder. Pollution and disease also took a toll. Crowded cities, poor sanitation, and lead poisoning weakened the population. Major plagues like the Antonine Plague killed millions, leaving fewer soldiers and farmers. Environmental pressures created deep cracks in Rome's foundation. The empire's ability to feed and protect its people was undermined. When the environment falters, so does society. Rome's story is a warning. Ignore the health of your land, and everything else is at risk. The first cracks in Rome's greatness began with the land beneath their feet. While the environment weakened Rome from the outside, political rot hollowed it from within. The Roman government became unstable and corrupt. Emperors were often assassinated, and power changed hands violently. In just 50 years, Rome had over 20 emperors, a period known as the crisis of the 3rd century. This chaos meant no long-term planning. Leaders focused on survival, not solutions. Corruption spread, officials enriched themselves, demanded bribes, and stole public money. Ordinary people lost faith in their government and the idea of Rome itself. The vast empire was hard to govern. Messages and armies moved slowly. Diocletian split the empire in two, but this only deepened divisions. The two halves drifted apart, competing for resources and soldiers. The government could no longer protect citizens, maintain infrastructure, or provide justice. The rich bought their way out of trouble. The poor were left behind. Society fractured and loyalty shifted from Rome to local leaders or personal survival. Internal decay left the empire weak and vulnerable to collapse. A strong economy is the lifeblood of a civilization, but Rome's began to fail. Early wealth came from conquest, gold, slaves, and resources from new lands. When expansion stopped, so did the flow of new wealth, but expenses remained high. To pay for armies and government, taxes soared, crushing small farmers and business owners. Many lost their land, creating a huge gap between rich and poor. Economic inequality fueled unrest and weakened society. Inflation became rampant as the government debased its currency. Coins contained less silver, prices soared, and savings vanished. Trade suffered, people lost trust in money. The economy spiraled into chaos, making life unpredictable for ordinary citizens. Rome's reliance on slave labor stifled innovation. Why invent machines when slaves did the work? When conquests stopped, so did the supply of new slaves, leading to labor shortages. The economic system, built on expansion and slavery, could not adapt. With an empty treasury, Rome could no longer defend itself or care for its people. Economic collapse was both a symptom and a cause of Rome's decline. The empire's financial ruin made recovery impossible. Some historians argue Rome also suffered from a decline in social and moral values. Early Romans valued discipline, duty, and hard work, traits that built their empire. As wealth grew, these values eroded. Focus shifted to luxury and entertainment. The gap between rich and poor became a chasm. Elites lived in excess, while many lived in poverty. To prevent unrest, the government offered bread in circuses, free grain and public games. These distractions masked, but didn't solve, deep social problems. Civic engagement faded, people became spectators, not citizens. The traditional family structure weakened, replaced by individualism and self-indulgence. Roman writers lamented the loss of virtue and the rise of laziness and corruption. Social decay made it harder to unite against challenges. When threats came, a divided, distracted society struggled to respond. The fading Roman spirit was a powerful force in the empire's downfall. The reasons for Rome's fall echo in our modern world, especially in the United States. This isn't a prediction of collapse, but a warning. Like Rome, America faces environmental challenges, overuse of resources, climate change, and stressed agriculture. Political instability and corruption are familiar, polarization, distrust, and a sense that government serves the wealthy. Money's influence in politics erodes trust and deepens division. Economic parallels are striking. Extreme wealth inequality, soaring national debt, and reliance on fragile global supply chains. Economic instability today mirrors Rome's troubles. Social and moral questions persist, a shift from civic duty to consumerism and entertainment. Critics warn of declining civic participation and a loss of shared purpose. Social media and constant distractions can leave us informed about trivia, but disengaged from real challenges. The fading of collective spirit is a modern echo of Rome's social decay. The parallels are sobering, but they are also a call to action. Will we heed the warning? Rome's collapse is more than a sad story. It's a source of lessons for our time. First, no society is immune to collapse. Success is never permanent. Rome's fall teaches humility. We must not assume our technology and wealth make us invincible. Decline can happen slowly, quietly, until it's too late to reverse. Second, complex problems require balanced solutions. Rome fell from a mix of environmental, political, economic, and social failures. We can't fix one area and ignore the rest. Everything is connected. Leadership and trust are critical. Rome's decline sped up when people lost faith in their leaders. A society cannot function without trust in government, economy, and each other. Good leaders unite people and plan for the long term. Finally, history warns us not to ignore warning signs. Rome's problems were visible, but warnings went unheeded. Today, we have clearer signals. Science and history give us a chance to act. Will we listen and choose a different path? The ruins of Rome remind us that civilizations are fragile. They're built on environmental balance, political trust, economic fairness, and shared purpose. When these crack, even the strongest societies can fall. Studying Rome's decline is holding up a mirror to our own world. The challenges Rome faced, environmental damage, political division, economic inequality, social fragmentation, are not new. History shows these forces, if unchecked, can spiral into collapse. But we are not doomed to repeat Rome's fate. We have their example and tools they never imagined. The difference is our capacity to understand and respond. The future is built by the choices we make every day. Rome's story is a warning. and an invitation to be wise, to build a more resilient, just and sustainable civilization. The choice is ours.